I was in my 17th year when we moved to Calcutta, and Ma started telling me about all these stories of East Bengal, West Bengal, and we were living in Damdam, and she used to tell me these wonderful romantic stories about this chicken curry, which she used to call steamer curry, Goalande Chhol. And she used to talk about how, when they used to cross from Dhaka to Kolkata, they would be eating the steamer curry. And she would try and recreate it, but she didn't really have a specific recipe to go by. She was just following her instincts. Much later, I met on social media this lovely lady called Preetha Sen, and she shared with me her recipe of Goalande Chhol. So I sort of married what Preetha had told me and what my mother used to do, and I do my own Goalande Chhol, which I love. And the first time I made it, Amit was like, I'm not sure I'm going to eat this. But he did take a taste of it, and since then it's become a regular in our home. So today we're doing Goalande Chhol. Goalande Chhol is one of those curries. It's a regular chicken curry, but it's one of those curries which has an amazing poke me up kind of a feel to it, because you're cooking it in mustard oil. Yes, lovely yummy mustard oil, and there's not much you need to do except put it all into the pot and let it cook as usual. I have one full chicken here, cut in curry pieces. They're a little smaller than what I would like, but this is curry pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is marinate it with turmeric, salt, and red chili, and a little coriander powder. And I'm just going to mix it and let it sit while I do the chopping and cutting of all the other ingredients that will be going into this, which is basically just onions, ginger, garlic, and some potato. As we chop and cut, we shall just keep adding it to the pot. Let's start with onions. I have a feeling this Goalande Chhol basically became a commercial proposition because the steamer guys were probably cooking their own lunch, and they would have this sort of bubbling away on the fire, and the customers, the people who sort of got onto that boat, they must have got that fragrance, and you're on the water and there's this amazing sort of fragrance coming to you of this chicken curry. You are obviously going to want to eat it. And that's probably what happened. Some of the rustic dishes that we have in this country are really the best. I mean, things like duck bungalow food and all that dhaba stuff that you used to get on the highways. Of course, dhabas have become very modern nowadays. They use frozen products and they use ready-made ginger garlic pastes and things like that. I don't think they ever did that in their time. But the best way to identify the right dhaba is to figure out where the Sardaji truck drivers are, because they know where the food is best. I'm just going to keep it to 2 onions right now, and we shall grate some ginger into it. That's about like a 2-inch piece. And I will grate some garlic into it. Graters are so convenient. But I don't think the steamer guys had graters. They were probably bashing it up in a mortar and pestle. I guess one moves with the times, right? I've put in around 10 cloves of garlic, since it was a pretty big chicken. And the flavoring in this, there's no garam masala in it. The flavoring basically comes from the mustard oil. And a lot of people sort of heat the mustard oil before they cook this. I'm not going to do that. And people also add dry fish to it, but I think that would be stretching my Punjab da Puttar's taste buds a little much. So we gotta avoid any dry fish. And of course, the potato. Bengali food can never be without vegetables in the meat. But there's something about meat and potatoes which is like a universal thing. I mean, you read all these stories of the British, European, whatever times when there were all these hearty stews being made with potatoes in it, and people were always eating meat and potatoes, especially the Irish. So I guess the potatoes basically make it go a long way. I'm going to keep this potato in a largish piece because I don't want it sort of becoming one mushy thing over there. So we shall add 2 potatoes. And now into all this, I am just going to add some mustard oil and mix it well and leave it there for around half an hour and then put it on the fire so you have time to take a break. I've just used 5 tablespoons of oil because I think the chicken will also release some fat. The aroma of that mustard oil clears up your sinuses immediately. So I'm going to cover this and leave it here. By the time we come back, the onions should have sweated a bit and that salt should have worked its wonders and the mustard oil should have got into the pores of the chicken. So we will have a little bit of gravy, but I'm not adding any water as of now. I'm now going to put the pot on the fire and put it on slow fire. I'm going to let this heat through and only then stir it. Oh my god, the fragrance is amazing. But yes, I'm a Bengali and I love mustard oil. I have grown up with mustard oil, so I guess that does make a difference. I'm sure in the south they're as passionate about coconut oil, and the north actually eats a lot of mustard oil. So as you can see, the lid has steamed up, and when I open the lid you can hear the heat. So now is when I'm going to stir this. You can see the nice water vapor, the steam. The lid is hot. Oh. And you can see that it's releasing water. The main thing about this curry is because you're not adding any water at the beginning, you need to be very careful that it is actually on slow fire and that you keep stirring it every 4-5 minutes or so, because otherwise it might just burn. And the reason I'm not adding water right now is because I don't want to dilute it, so that I want the onions and the ginger garlic to sort of get nicely sauteed with the meat and the potatoes, so it's a really good taste. And as you can see, the chicken has also released water. I have not added any water, but we've got so much gravy happening here already. So a little bit of patience is all it takes, and of course faith that the recipe will actually work out. And we shall come back after another 5 minutes. Almost there. As you can see, because it's on a slow fire, the oil has risen to the top and it's getting that reddish color. And the gravy is also thickening because the onions and everything are getting cooked. tomatoes also cooked. So this is a recipe which doesn't have tomatoes, it doesn't have dahi, yogurt, and it doesn't have any garam masalas. It's basically just the mustard oil that is giving it its flavor, and it is a delicious flavor. You have to try this. What I'm going to do now is add a little warm water because I want a thinnish gravy. And I'll let it simmer for another 10 minutes or so, and it should be done by then. And just look at that! Isn't that the most appetizing chicken curry? Now just imagine you're on a boat in the middle of the river, and there's this hot steaming chicken curry being served to you with a nice bowl of white rice. Of course, the Bengali rice is another story altogether. There are so many varieties and they're so fragrant, but today we're having it with basmati. I am really looking forward to this because I have to confess that this is my most favorite chicken preparation amongst all the chicken preparations I've ever had. I can just carry on eating it forever. Let's take a leg and a potato, and let's put some of this nice red gravy in the center. So let me taste this. You know, the best thing I love about any meat dish is the potato. This is absolutely awesome. The mustard oil flavor is there, but it's not overpowering because the onions and the ginger garlic have sort of played their part, and you can actually taste the sweetness of the dish even though there's no sugar added to it. And of course the chili has added a bit of bite. I don't really need that green chili, and I don't need the raw onions either. Thank you for indulging me while I cooked my most favorite chicken dish, and I hope you guys try it because it is really yummy and worth at least one shot. Have a great weekend and see you again next week with something special. And don't forget to like and to subscribe if you haven't already, and please post your feedback. We love hearing from you.